greatest of prophets, Islam was his only goal.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I'd like to welcome you, dear viewers, in another in the series, Pearls of the Prophet. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace and blessings be on each and every one of you. And dear viewers, we are now continuing back in the segment regarding the things which the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ identified as being the best of the good things of Islam. In this segment, we're looking at the Prophet's recommendation with regards to worship and modesty. Abu Huraira quoted the Messenger of Allah as saying, Al-Imanu bid'un wa sab'una أفضلها قول لا إله إلا الله وأدناها إماتة العظم عن الطريق والحياء شعبة من الإيمان. Faith has over 70 branches, the best of which is the declaration that there is no God worthy of worship but Allah, and the simplest of which is removing a bone from the road. And modesty is a branch of faith. Faith has over 70 branches. Faith has a variety of different aspects. The most important and significant aspect of faith, the foundation of the faith, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, is to say, La ilaha illallah. There is no God worthy of worship but Allah. This is the most important aspect of the faith. This is the foundation of Islam, that worship belongs only to Allah. Everything in Islam is focused on that. It is a reminder to us that God alone should be worshipped, because He is the only one who can benefit us. And no harm can befall us in this life unless He has permitted it to take place in accordance with His destiny. This is the way that the Muslim's faith is created. It is created around this concept that God is the only true power in this universe. There is no other power besides Him. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. This is what the Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, often used to say. La hawla, there is no movement. Wa la quwwata, there is no power. Illa billah, except with the permission of Allah. All else is submitted to Him. Nothing takes place without His permission. In which case, only He deserves to be worshipped. When people worship others besides Him, they are worshiping His creation. Their prayers may be answered, things may happen for them, but it is not the aspects of creation that they worship that is answering these things, doing these things for them. It is God. And it's foolish for them to worship other than God, because the things that they worship are no better than them. Whether they are idols or images or whatever, they're no better than them as human beings. The reality is that worship belongs to God alone, and that is the foundation of faith. The simplest aspect of faith, of the 70 branches of the faith, the simplest aspect is to remove a bone, a chip of bone from the road. A chip of bone which may be sharp, a person steps on it, it may cut them, hurt them. The equivalent is like a piece of glass or a nail in a wood, something simple on the ground, but which ultimately could create harm for others. To do that is the simplest branch of the faith. By the Prophet identifying such an act as being a branch of faith, he is clarifying for us that the faith is action. Though the foundation is a concept, the faith itself is action. Things that we do out of conviction, out of commitment to that basic principle of worshiping God alone. So the act of removing that harmful thing from the root, that people may walk and harm themselves, doing this for the pleasure of God, is an act of faith. It is easy for us to turn our heads aside, not look at it, avoid it, don't care about it, doesn't concern us, we didn't get hurt by it, whatever. Or if we got hurt by it, you want to leave it so it may hurt somebody else. Such is an act which Allah, through His Prophet, has encouraged us to do by identifying it as being the simplest act of faith. Then the Prophet, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, closed this statement by saying that modesty is a branch of faith. To be modest in one's way, how one feels about oneself, how one deals with others, to have a sense of modesty is a part of faith, a sense of shyness, that one is not bold. This is something very, very important in these times in which the civilization of today, which is world civilization of today, which is a product of the materialistic Western civilization, which is a secular civilization, which has rejected the teachings of religion, of God, from their lives, where modesty is looked at as being a psychological weakness, as a phobia. Shyness is looked at as being something wrong. Why should one be shy? Since we are the children of the apes and the monkeys, this is the Western thought, that we have evolved from common ancestors with apes, etc. And the other monkeys and apes and baboons, etc., they're not shy. So why should we be shy? This is obviously something which the society has put upon us. So the West, over the last years, they went overboard into trying to prove and to remove this shyness into the whole nudist movement, where you had nudist beaches. People were going to the beaches stark naked, men, women, and children. They had nudist colonies, huge parks, areas where everybody there with their children, grandmother, aunts, uncles, everybody, the whole family goes down to this huge park area. They're naked the whole time. Even in the schools. I remember myself in Canada growing up, where in junior high school and high school, all of the boys were obliged to go swimming naked. And the rationale behind it was those in control of the educational system felt that this shyness that a person may have about his private parts, this is something unnatural. And this is why when we have gym, we used to play football or running. After that, we had showers. There were communal showers. The point is that they were trying to break down this sense and this feeling of shyness. And this is the Western materialist, secularist society's onslaught against religion which does teach shyness, self-control, a sense of shame. Because when you remove this, then people can do anything. There are no limits. This is why in movies today, a person cannot take his family anymore. Take your children. Vast majorities of the movies that are produced from the West that are in the movie houses, etc., we can no longer take our children. I remember when I was a child going to movies with my parents. But to go to movies now, it is so gross. So much sex and exposure, etc. that is there, one cannot take one's family anymore. Unless one has just totally lost it. They have no care. That shyness has been destroyed. Islam says that shyness, that modesty is a part of faith. It is essential in the Muslim society to keep the overall feeling of the society pure, so that sexuality doesn't become a major factor in the society. People lose their sense of honor and dignity when shyness is destroyed. So the Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, reminded us that faith has many aspects, some of which are theoretical and some of which are practical. The foundation is belief in the one true God. Belief not only in thought but in practice, that God is the only one deserving our worship. But on the other end of the spectrum, faith is also to remove any harmful thing from the path that people walk in order to protect them. Who knows who's coming after? It may even be a person we consider to be our enemy, not our friend at all. However, we don't know. It could be our mother or our sister or our brother. Regardless, the harm that is there should be removed. We should not wish harm for anyone. And modesty is a part of faith. Let us uphold modesty. Let us honor it and defend it in these times where it is being destroyed. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful. I'd like to welcome you, dear viewers, to another in the series, Pearls of the Prophet. And in welcome you, I greet you with the Islamic greetings, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace and blessings be on each and every one of you. In this segment, we'll be looking at a statement of the Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, with regards to age, something which concerns all of us, how long we live, and what is important in our lives, be it long or short. We have from Abu Bakr that he mentioned that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, خير الناس من طال عمره وحسن عمله وشر الناس من طال عمره وساء عمله. The best of people is he whose life is long and his deeds are good, while the worst of people is he whose life is long and his deeds are evil. Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, is pointing out to us in this statement that a long life is a blessing from Allah. That a person has an opportunity to experience over an extended period of time is a blessing from Allah, because it is Allah who gives us life and it is Allah who will take that life. For him to allow us to experience a long life wherein we may enjoy the family, see our children grow and our grandchildren, perhaps even our great-grandchildren, this is a blessing from Allah. However, this blessing, which along with other factors will make us among the best of people, is only beneficial to us if our deeds in that period of time are good deeds. In another statement recorded by Imam Ahmed from the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, in which Abu Bakr, or that is Abu Huraira, narrated, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, "The best of you are those who live the longest and are the best in character." In this narration, it is those whose life is long and his deeds are good. Good deeds, good character. A long life with evil deeds puts us in the situation of being among the worst of mankind, as the second half of the statement of the Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, indicates. The worst of people is he whose life is long and his deeds are evil. So, dear viewers, this piece of advice is a statement and advice. It is a statement of fact that long life is a blessing from Allah, but that life is not of value to us unless it is a good life. This is what makes that long life of value, blessed, truly blessed, of benefit to us. That during that life we have been good. And in the other narration, as I mentioned, that the Prophet Muhammad, may God's peace and blessing be upon him, on another occasion described the goodness as that of goodness in character. Of course, goodness includes all aspects of the human being's existence. However, perhaps the most important area is that of character. Why character? Because it is the expression of one's conviction, living in accordance with the commandments of God can only produce good character. Because the teachings of Islam, in their totality, all engender or develop in us good character. Prayer 5 times a day develops good character. Fasting, self-restraint, charity, generosity, the pilgrimage, empathy, sympathy with the rest of mankind, recognizing our role in this scheme of things. Death is close. We make use of this time that we're here, not only for the accumulation of material needs, but the accumulation of spiritual needs, the good deeds. So, character, good character, is a sign of a long life which is blessed, which Allah has not only given the individual as a period, an extended period of time, but that individual has made use of that period in the things which will benefit himself or herself. So, the best of people is he whose life is long and his deeds are good. This is the best. Why is he best? Because he has lived the longest period of time and he's utilized that time in that which is beneficial in both this life and the next. If his life was long and he did little good, then he is not better than one whose life is short and did much good. Surely not. Ultimately, it is the good which determines whose life is best. But on a simple scale, where the more good deeds you do, the better you are, then the one who has the long life, who does good throughout that long life, will be better than the one who has a short life and does a limited amount of good in that period of time. However, to be very frank and realistic, Allah is the one who determines the life, how long we live. And if one has put one's maximum effort in a short life and one's maximum effort in a long life, then Allah is going to reward us according to our effort. Because the good that we do and the opportunities for good that we have, these are a combination of what Allah has permitted us to do, what opportunities Allah has given us in this life. And ultimately, Allah will judge us according to our efforts. What were our intentions in our life to utilize the opportunities which Allah gave us for good? Good not only to benefit ourselves in a material sense, but good to benefit ourselves in the spiritual sense. So, dear viewers, if Allah has blessed us with a long life, we should thank Him for that life, that long life. But we need to assess that life. Has it been a life of good or has it been a life of evil? Because if it is a life of evil, then we are cursed. If it is a life in which we are living as ritualistic believers, those who claim to be believers, but are merely practicing empty rituals, we just go through the motions. Our religion is a burden, something which we do because there's pressure from the society, pressure from our parents, possibly our children. We have to keep up the show. We're just doing it really for the sake of others, not for ourselves. A life long with this kind of an attitude to the lifestyle which God has prescribed for us, Islam, such a life is a cursed life. Such a life is a loss. As Allah said in the Quran, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. All of mankind is in a state of loss. And surely that one who lives that life, that long life, but has not made use of it, has not benefited himself or herself for the next life, this is the one who has truly lost out. I pray, dear viewers, that reflect on this statement of the Prophet, may God's peace and blessings be upon him, and utilize the period of time that has been prescribed for us, this life span that we have, utilize it for good not only in this life, but also in the next. And I hope to see you or be with you in the future programs. And I now bid you farewell. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
الصبح بدا من طلعته والليل دجى من وفرته الله 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 Muhammad, peace be upon his soul. The greatest of prophets, Islam was his only goal.